So first of all, I remember when Tyson Fury had just turned pro, looking at his BoxRec page, and his name was Luke Tyson Fury. It wasn't Tyson Luke Fury. It was Luke Tyson Fury. I clearly remember it on BoxRec. Here we have a post, right? This is from the the Boxing Forum, Boxing 24 Forum. The date is December 19th, 2007. Take a closer look. You guys see it there? December 19th, 2007 on the left. And look at the name that they use for Mr. Fury. Look, Luke Tyson Fury. They don't call him Tyson Fury. They call him Luke Tyson Fury. That's in 2007 on a forum. Oh, it's just a forum. Somebody misspelt it. Okay. This is from 2009 on the same forum. Luke Tyson Fury. You see it there on the right? A couple of years later, same forum. Luke Tyson Fury, they're referring to him as. It's just somebody on a forum. What do they know? Okay. 7th of July, 2011. Daily Express, mainstream newspaper. Tyson, if you read underneath the headline there, whose real name is Luke Tyson Fury, will play himself in the film, etc., etc. So, a mainstream newspaper in July 2011 said that his real name is Luke Tyson Fury. How's that for a receipt? Oh, it was just one newspaper. They made a mistake. Oh, okay. How about the Independent? Same year, but in November of that year. Name, Luke Tyson Fury. If it's not Luke, I want to see a birth certificate. If Fury wants to come out and refute all this Luke stuff, let's see that birth certificate. And here's another bit of suggestive evidence, Well, his cousin Huey, whose dad is obviously Peter Fury, right, was named after Lennox Lewis. He was given Lewis as his middle name. Let's bring it in here. You see the name there? Huey Lewis Fury, birth name. Now, the reason for this is that Peter Fury's favorite fighter at that time was Lennox Lewis. And John Fury's favorite fighter was Mike Tyson. They gave their sons the names of their favorite fighters as middle names. Makes sense, doesn't it? That it would be Huey Lewis Fury and Luke Tyson Fury. So we move on to more recent history. We've got TalkSport caping for Luke Fury here. Why do people call Tyson Fury Luke? John Fury explains story behind Gypsy King's real name. Now, fighters including Brit rivals AJ and White believe Gypsy King's actual first name to be Luke, not Tyson. And this is a quote from Dylan White. He says, "My real name is Dylan. I know his real name is Luke." White told Sun Sport. He changed it to Tyson to make himself sound harder. People can have a little look around the internet and see for themselves, as I just have. In boxing, the name Tyson is a lot more sellable than Luke. And he spent time with Fury in camp long before Fury became heavyweight champion. That's what you have to understand about Dylan White. All right, he's known Fury for many, many, many years, long before the Klitschko fight. And he said that Fury changed his name to Luke. And for those of you who don't understand how name changes work, it's done by a document called deed poll. It's very easy to change your name by deed poll, let's just put it that way. But the way you find out what somebody's real name is or their birth name is by looking at the birth certificate, not by looking at a passport. Because you can change the name by deed poll on the passport. Whereas the birth certificate, whatever your name was at birth, that's the name that's going to stay on there as I understand it. So if his name was not Luke at birth, let's see the birth certificate. I mean, he doesn't have to, but if he wants to shut all this down, let's see that birth certificate. And one more example of when he was referred to as Luke is when he fought Steve Cunningham. The announcer referred to him as Luke Tyson Fury. This is a fact. I've seen the video recently, like within the past year, because somebody mentioned it in a live stream. And I went to go check. And right there, clear as day, they called him Luke Tyson Fury. So these references calling him Luke have been going on long before he had a rivalry with Anthony Joshua. Folks, I've just shown you back in 2007, people were calling him Luke. Yeah? In 2009, people were calling him Luke. In 2011, the Daily Express was saying that his real name is Luke. Same year, Independent, they were saying in November of that year, his name is Luke Fury. All right, so we've tackled the first name. Then we move on to the surname, and the combination of Luke and Partridge just makes it hilarious. Now, some of you have heard me go over this before. This is a post on the BoxRec forum. The post was from 2015. Hillman Imp. This person says, No conjecture, gossip, rumor, badly researched online articles, facts from someone who knew John, in brackets, we had the same manager at one point, and had the misfortune to spend time with him on many occasions. Real name. The family name is actually Partridge, not Fury. Bare knuckle, quote unquote, career. Clearly, these events are not recorded, but as far as I know, and I've confirmed this with another Fury cohort, John was known to have had a grand total of 2 organized bare knuckle fights. One was broken up by the police. In the other, both Fury and his opponent shook hands and called it a draw as they were both knackered. Boxing career. Well, we know about his boxing career. Never scored a stoppage or knockdown. Beaten by a part-time rugby player. Was old-manned in a Central Area title fight by Neil Malpass. Was rendered unconscious for almost 10 minutes by the relatively light-hitting Akinwande. He took a 4-year break after the Akinwande loss, then made a comeback and took on Steve Garber, someone he'd previously beaten. After a decent first round, he was systematically outboxed for 2 rounds before throwing his arms up in surrender and returning to his corner. He actually got knocked out in that fight. So I don't know why he's saying, so that bit is actually not accurate because he got knocked out. The footage is online. Anyway, sparring stories. He came over to John Silabansky's gym in Bradford to spar the aforementioned Steve Garber. This was after their first fight, but before the second fight. Steve suffered a badly cut lower lip after 2 rounds and curtailed the sparring. Middleweight Frank Grant. So he's naming names here, folks. He's naming names. Middleweight, is this a story that's made up? To me, the details here sound convincing. Middleweight Frank Grant asked if he could do a few rounds with Fury. Fury, most insulted that a mere middleweight would dare to spar with him, went in heavy. The sparring was heated, to say the least, and Frank absolutely battered Fury for 2 rounds. In the changing room, Fury starts muttering about not being fit, though he was sparring a heavy, or thought he was sparring a heavy, His wife had a baby, a Jew, and he'd had a long, hard drive from Haslingden, etc., etc. So it was John Fury making a bunch of excuses up for being battered by a middleweight and sparring, according to this story. Grant told him to shut his mouth, or something similar. Fury made some noise about taking it outside, on the hard road, taking it outside. You didn't say that to Frank Grant. Fury leaves the building. Grant follows him outside, stripped to the waist in the pouring rain, and starts screaming at Fury to fight him. Fury gets in his van, muttering about being knackered from the sparring, once again evoking his heavily pregnant wife and the impending baby. Grant kicks the van door, tries to open it. Fury drives off. Now look, I can't confirm that this story is true, but it just sounds like something John Fury would do. And the guy's naming names. He said the name of the gym. He said several people that were there. Steve Garber. Okay? And he's saying the incident went down like this. I can well believe it, knowing John Fury's character. Anyway, he goes on to say, and this is another thing that, this is a different story now he's talking about. I didn't see this, sadly, but I do have it on good authority from numerous people who witnessed it. Fury went to Leeds to spar with Tom Collins and Carl Gaffney. Light heavyweight Collins knocked him clean out wearing 16-ounce gloves. He concludes by saying, by way of conclusion, Gypsy John Partridge, it's true, I swear, is a liar, a fantasist, bully, and nothing like as hard as he would have you believe. If Fat Mick has any sense, he'll keep John well away from press conferences, cameras, interviews, etc. So that's where I first heard about this Partridge name, and I've said this before as well. I seem to vaguely remember a Peter Fury interview that he did with one of these real Fury fanboy interview channels. And in this interview, Peter Fury was talking about his family history, and I vaguely remember him saying that there's partridges in his family, or the original name of his family is Partridge. Don't quote me on it, but I vaguely remember something like that. But Peter Fury's done so many interviews that it would take probably weeks, right? Months of watching Peter Fury interviews every day to find the interview, track it down, and see if he does actually say that. But if he does, if one of you guys stumble across the Peter Fury interview where he says the family name's Partridge, that's it, it's a wrap. There's plenty of suggestive evidence here that his real first name is Luke. Again, his cousin Huey has the middle name Lewis, named after Lennox Lewis. It would make sense then that his brother John would give him the middle name of Tyson, Luke Tyson Fury. I've got nothing against somebody wanting to change their name. In fact, I think it's a good thing if he was actually born Luke Fury or Luke Partridge. I think he did the best thing by changing his name. The only reason I talk about it is literally because it's funny. If his name is actually Luke Partridge, that's a funny name, bro. That's all it is. I got no issue with a man changing his name. It's like in the barbershop in the movie Coming to America, where Eddie Murphy's playing that Jewish guy, and he's like, if the man wants to call himself Muhammad Ali, God damn, it's America, it's a free country, Muhammad Ali. You know that scene? Yeah, not sure it's a free country anymore, but still, if a man wants to change his name, good luck to him, no problem. But it is funny when you find out his real name is potentially Luke Partridge. That's funny. So he did a good thing by changing it. And you know, going into the Usyk fight, the first Usyk fight, when I was calling him Partridge left, right, and center, I had a thought in my head, which was like, you know, in demonology, they say that you can take the power of a demon away or reduce the power a demon has by calling it by its actual name. You know, somebody that's tormented by a demon, for those of you who believe in demons, they are going to be, you know, under the cosh of that demon. But when they find out the demon's name and they start calling it by its name, that's when the demon apparently can back off or whatever the case may be. And so I was thinking, did I have that effect with Tyson Fury when I started calling him Luke Partridge? Calling him by his real name, did that take some of his power away? Because Tyson Fury is a powerful name, you know? It's a powerful name. Luke Partridge doesn't sound so... Luke Partridge don't sound so powerful, does it? All right. If you go to the National Archives, which is also, last I checked, the Family Records Center, you can look up births, deaths, and marriages. And it will show you every single birth, death, and marriage in the UK for any particular year. National Archives is in Kew, the train station that you want to go to if you're trying to get there by tube. I think it's Kew Gardens tube station. But go to the National Archives. Anybody who wants to do that work, that legwork, you know, go in there, go to the births, deaths, and marriages. It's a, you know, government facility, so any citizen can go there and look it up, find his year of birth, which is 12th of August, 1988. So anyone who wants to go to the National Archives Family Records Center in Kew and go there and look up August 12th, 88. I'm sure it'll all be indexed in alphabetical order. And look up Fury. The Luke part, if that is his original first name, then it would have been Tyson that changed it. But the Partridge thing, as I've said in previous streams when I've talked about this surname, maybe the granddad of Tyson Fury, John's father, he might have changed it to Fury. Tyson Fury is a fantastic boxing name. I think if they changed their name from Partridge to Fury and from Luke to Tyson, it was a great move from a marketing perspective and maybe even from a psychological perspective. A lot of people believe that names have power.